Welcome back to the Scuttlebutt Network radio program, the voice of the veterans for the veterans, transmitting live on 106.5 FM and firing the shots heard around the world at scuttlebuttnetwork.com. Our numbers 343-0106 or 866-983-2777. Hey, you can also catch us on the TuneIn app for your smartphone. Check us out on Facebook. You can also follow me on Twitter. It's at @Cal_SBN. And it is a privilege to be joined in the Scuttlebutt seat this evening by Captain Heather Lohse and Public Affairs Officer Anna Guerra from the Mobile Civil Air Patrol Squadron. Captain, welcome to the Scuttlebutt Network.
Thank you very much.
Well, the Civil Air Patrol, I know what it is. I happened to actually visit it when I was a teenager, and there were some conflicts in scheduling. I wasn't able to join. But it's great to know that the Civil Air Patrol is still active and is out there. But many of our listeners may not know what the Civil Air Patrol is. So let's start with that.
Well, the Civil Air Patrol is the United States Air Force's official auxiliary. We are a nonprofit benevolent society, so we don't actually go to war. We do wear a uniform. We actually have several different uniforms depending on what we're doing. We've got flight suits for the flyers. We've got what we're wearing tonight, our service blues. We've got a utility uniform, all types of uniforms because we have so many different things that we do. But it's over 75 years. We got our start back in the 1930s, back after World War I, when some of the aviators saw World War II coming. And they decided that they needed to get the civilian aviation community involved in national defense. So that's how we got started.
Outstanding. And insofar as the squadron that's here, tell us a little bit about what it is that, or how many members you have, what it is that you do with the Civil Air Patrol.
Well, we actually have quite a few senior members, but a lot of them are becoming inactive as they get older in age. So for active members, I would say we probably have about 12 to 15 people show up on a regular basis.
Now, you said senior members. What does that mean?
Senior members are anybody actually.
Tom is a senior member,
yeah.
And he's known as a senior.
Yeah. That kind of confuses people because senior member actually isn't that old. Anybody that's 21 or older is a senior member, or if you join the military. So I actually have a son that's about to join the military, and he's only 18. So once he joins the military, he's no longer allowed to be a cadet. He becomes a senior member. So senior member is anybody that's in the military or 21 and older.
Now, when you say in the military, does that include the reserves?
It does.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, so you have the senior members. Cadet.
Cadet is anyone that's 12 years to 20.
Okay.
So unless they join the military.
Unless they join the military. Okay. And Anna, I know that you are a cadet. You're the public affairs officer.
I am.
So how did you decide to join, and what is it that you do as a cadet?
Well, we decided to join about 2 years ago when my mom was looking for an ROTC program for my older brother because he wants to join the military. And I was 12 years old at that time. I was the shyest kid, hid behind mom, didn't want to say hi, didn't even want to go to the restaurant to ask for ketchup. So I kind of was a little hesitant to joining, but my dad told me, check this out. If you don't like it, you don't have to renew after a year. But I ended up loving it. I mean, here I am 2 years later. I've opened up. I mean, I'm talking right now.
Absolutely. Doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, in fact, you wouldn't think that you'd already be the public relations officer.
No, sir. I would have never imagined myself doing anything like this.
No, you do an awesome job.
Great. So, Captain, what are the activities? What are the missions of the Civil Air Patrol if somebody doesn't know what you do?
Well, we've actually got several missions. So one of our missions is emergency services. It's one of the most important things that we do. Having reflected back on 9/11 just recently, it was a Civil Air Patrol member that actually sent out the flash message to get people in federal and state departments to get to the right communications that they could actually get messages relayed from the president on how our response was going to be. So we play a very important role that people they don't even know that we're a part of that. We were the first civilian planes in the air after the towers collapsed to do reconnaissance missions so that we could take photographs of what had gone on. So that's obviously a huge disaster that's on our mind right recently, since we're just right past 9/11, reflecting on that. But with the hurricanes coming up, we've already had messages going out to all of our local squadrons, getting volunteers who are willing to deploy once the hurricane comes ashore, so that we can already know who's available, who's willing, who's trained. We have a very robust educational program so that we can get people their professional development and get them specialized in whatever fields they're interested in. So if they're mission qualified and they're available, we put them on a list. And so when something like a hurricane happens or wildfires in California, whatever the case may be, once we know what the need is, we come in and we fill that need. After 9/11, we mobilized over 8,700 members to help fill federal and state emergency response centers, because we know how to set up an incident command center and to run it and to do the communications and the organizations to get out there what we need, find out what the need is and get it out there.
And so it's not everybody has to be a pilot
No.
or want to fly.
True. That's one of the things, because aviation is another big, aerospace is one of our big missions, is aerospace education. And everybody thinks, oh, Civil Air Patrol, you got to be a pilot. We have so many people that want to keep their feet on the ground. We have so many different roles. We have admin roles where, if you like finance, to run the squadron, we need a finance officer. If you like computers, we need an IT person right now, because they keep calling me IT and I'm not IT. I can just barely kind of do the website up, visit the website, but I have to apologize. That's a person that has no clue what they're doing. That would be me. So
You're on my page.
exactly. So I'm doing the best that I can in that role right now. But cadet programs is our third thing that we do. And to run a successful cadet program, we need people who can teach aerospace. We need people that can teach character development. Somehow or another, I got recruited to be the fitness education officer as well.
PT.
So, yes. So I'm
Loads of fun.
Okay. and I told him, I said, I actually just, sat down with him. I said, look, how many of you, because we're not really a recruiting. Oh, that's the other thing people kind of say, you either have to be a pilot or you're recruiting for the military. We aren't really a recruiting tool for the military, but a lot of the cadets find that they enjoy the atmosphere, the leadership, and the things that the military has to offer. So it ends up being recruiting because that's what they enjoy out of the program. But developing the PT program, that's what I asked him. How many of you are actually planning on at least investigating going into the military? And every single one of them raised their hands. And I said, it doesn't mean you have to go, but if I'm going to run your PT program, I'm going to run it like you're getting ready for boot camp. So,
Right.
and so that's how I
what they
run it.
needed. That's what they
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
I think-
Anna, is she telling the truth about
She is. She definitely is. She has a great job, actually. I feel like our last PT officer did a good job, but I think she's doing outstanding. She's doing everything that she can in her power to get us ready for the military in the physical training area.
Great. Now, let me ask you this, and that really is important, because when you look at the statistics in the general population, the number of candidates that are of age to join the military, but they can't qualify
Yes.
physically from the physical fitness side of it. Is this an alternative to a standard ROTC program?
It can be an alternative, but we actually have ROTC cadets that come into Civil Air Patrol, and I believe it's if they have 1 year.
Well, that's Air Force ROTC.
Okay, so if they have Air Force ROTC, then they actually can accelerate their promotions within Civil Air Patrol based on the fact that they're actually getting double in character development, leadership,
Okay.
aerospace. So they can actually speed up their promotions. Right now, for somebody that's just in Civil Air Patrol without the requisite ROTC, they can only promote every 56 days.
Okay.
So,
But for somebody that may be homeschooled, like you are, looking at some sort of program like that, that could be a viable alternative.
It can.
Great.
It actually fills a great role with that. Homeschool students really enjoy that they have something to come to that's on a regular basis. We do STEM, so the science, technology, engineering, mathematics. We have an award-winning program with STEM. They just shot off rockets that they built the end of August.
Yes.
We had a Saturday event that we did that as well. So we do a lot of things that, they don't get in the ROTC program, but there's some of that leadership stuff in the drill and she's part of the color guard and the honor guard. So there's some of that stuff that kind of overlaps. And so the ROTC cadets that come in actually strengthen that for us.
Okay. So they can kind of add to
Yes,
what's
absolutely.
already going on there with the Civil Air Patrol. So that's a unique take on it. And again, we are talking with Captain Heather Lohse and Anna Guerra from the Mobile Civil Air Patrol Squadron. We're coming up on a break. And we'll talk with you more on the other side of the break about some of your upcoming events. But where can people go for more information?
If they want to find out more information, they can go to that wonderful website that I'm trying to do my best at. It's mobilealcap.org. So very easy to remember.
Facebook?
Facebook is Mobile CAP.
Great. All right. And so there's contact information in both places
Absolutely.
in terms of who to contact, where to go, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Wonderful. Great. Again, we were talking with Captain Heather Lohse and Anna Guerra from the Mobile Civil Air Patrol Squadron. We will talk more with them on the other side of the break. As always, you can always go to scuttlebuttnetwork.com for more information.
And we certainly want to thank the folks that continue to help make this show possible. The Battleship USS Alabama Memorial Park, our sea lawyer, Colin Kimberly, at the law firm of Goldberg in Kimberly, Viva Medicare of Alabama, Patriot Roofing and Construction, and Serenity Funeral Homes and Gardens.
Absolutely. And again, we're honored tonight to be joined by Captain Heather Lohse and Master Sergeant Anna Guerra from the Mobile Civil Air Patrol Squadron. Thank you both for being here with us.
Thank you very
And
much.
Captain, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Well, probably you have listeners out there that may be wondering, do you have to have any particular skills or training to join the Civil Air Patrol? We mentioned that not everybody's a pilot, but do you have to come in with a skill set?
You actually don't, because we have such a robust educational process and professional development, both on the cadet side and for the senior members. You come in, you tell us what your interests are. We try to match you with a career field or a specialty area. And we have online training that you can do at your own pace. We have mentorship in the squadron. We have professional development weekends. And we have training with the state and with the region. So you can actually get out and practice what you're learning and become mission qualified if you decide to go that route. But yeah, like I said, there's such a variety of things that you can do that pretty much any interest, we can find you something.
Now, you mentioned training, and you mentioned weekends, but how often do you meet and when is that?
We meet every Monday at 6:30 down at Signature Flight Support at Brookley Field. And for the cadets, we meet one weekend a month, which is scheduled based on whether we're doing a tour. Sometimes we go over to Keesler and we work with Keesler on, like we went and did honor guard training there. We've toured air traffic control, security forces. So we actually try to give the cadets tours and get them in front of people that have specialties that they might be interested in. So based on what we're planning for Saturday, it'll depend on what Saturday of the month that we do that, but every Monday night at 6:30.
And PT first?
That's the second Monday of the month.
Oh, okay. Oh, we didn't have that luxury, Tom. You got up in the morning and you did
Well,
PT whether
see,
you wanted
that's-
to or not.
Every morning, yeah.
That's something that I actually started
Before
with the
daylight.
cadets as well. So cadets, if you're listening, Monday I will be checking your sign-off sheets. They're supposed to be doing physical therapy for me or physical training for me 6 days a week. 6 days a week they're supposed to be doing something for me to prepare because I do only get 10 minutes every meeting and one meeting that's all mine. And that's not enough to get them where they need to be. So we have a
Absolutely.
home program that we have them working with.
Great. Well, I mean, it's encouraging, and I guess they they don't fudge. They do it, or do
Well,
we make them?
this is what I
run
told
laps,
them.
do push-ups.
It does no benefit to fudge because I'm also running their physical training tests. So if you're not excelling and you're not improving, and I look at your sheet and you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, then you either have a medical condition that we need to address or you're fudging. So yeah, they know not to fudge.
There you go. See, we always had we had these fun things at Paris Island called the pit, which was just a big sandbox, and you didn't want to end up in the pit. I mean, you were going to end up in the pit anyway. Somebody was going to do something, whether they did it or not.
Right.
But you were going to end up in the pit, and you got to play around in the pit. It was lots of fun. The sand got in your uniform and everywhere else. And
if it was all right if you was by yourself, but it was when that other dude was in there with you.
yeah, the drill instructor. Yeah. Normally the drill instructor was not in there with you, and normally they take the one that had caused you to get in the pit, and then they got to stand outside and watch. So, yeah, you're always motivated to say hi to that guy afterwards.
Yes.
But anyway, you mentioned or in some of the information that you sent. You said that in Pell City you got volunteers participating in a search and rescue training event.
We actually do. That's part of the on the hands training that we give. We have what we call SARXs, which is just short for search and rescue exercise or search and rescue training. We actually have 60 volunteers that are coming from all over the state of Alabama to Pell City this weekend to train. But we have our eyes on the hurricane. So if we need to change training into real world mission, that will come down from actually the United States Air Force. We will be tasked with that mission from the actual U.S. Air Force.
And so what would that mission encompass?
It depends on what the need is. Like I said, a lot of times we are brought in to fill where the local or federal area needs assistance. So if they have a command center and they don't have staffing for all the positions, there are a number of different positions that fill a command center. There's a lot of things that go behind the scenes besides just the people that end up out in the field. So we have people that are trained up and ready to fill those positions. We have ground teams that can do search and rescue. We have pilots, actually, yes. Master Sergeant Guerra is one of our ground team members. That's what this badge is right here that she earned.
It's GTM1. I actually went to a school that we call WES. Wing Emergency Services School, and it's 1 week in a month from January to May on training. And so I had gone this past year, my second time, so I'm GTM1, and basically I learned how furthermore to use the maps, and our ground team leader, the adult, I'm basically their right-hand man, their helper. So if they are doing a task, I am their helper in whatever they need to do, or I fill out paperwork, and I write down everyone that's on the mission and basically everything that they need me to do.
So do they still teach land nav, or is everything just GPS now?
Well,
Yeah, they still teach land nav because in a case where we wouldn't be able to use our GPS and we had no signal at all, we would have to be doing it on paper. So I actually learned how to do the latitude and longitude on a map, pinpoint where we are to like the tiniest little circle that we can make it to see where our most accurate point is. So if we didn't have a GPS, that would be where our knowledge would go in there.
Outstanding. Yeah, I remember land nav was always fun when they drop you in the swamps there in the dark. Yeah, and you know, just walking around, you had no idea what was in the swamp. You just knew where you had to get from point A to point B.
I cheated in ROTC. We got dropped off. We had several groups that were dropped off, and it was who could get back to the school the quickest. And everybody was fighting over the map and the compass, and I couldn't even get to it. And so finally just climbed a tree, looked over and went, "It's that way." And we beat everybody there.
There you go. Hey, that's like the Marine. There you go. Outstanding.
Improvise and overcome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you've got an event coming up this coming Monday.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
This is our recruiting open house. We actually have our cadets that are going to be doing all the presentations. So last Monday they put together presentation boards and talking points. And so they're tours. So you don't have to show up at 6:30, but we'll have tours that go anywhere from 6:30 to 8:45. And the cadets will actually have different stations that will tell you about emergency services, our fitness program, communications, our chaplain services, and all the things that they provide for like we lost a plane I think you might remember a Civil Air Patrol plane on the way back from a mission. And we lost two of both the pilot and the co-pilot in that. So our chaplain service would help with the cadets and the senior members that were dealing with that loss. They actually were part of the response for that plane. So
I actually remember that. My first orientation flight was with the pilot in that crash. So
yeah, so we actually had to respond to our own plane crash at that point. But we have the chaplain services.
public affairs,
honor guard, and aviation. At the very back, you get to tour the airplane. And actually, my son, he's well on his way to his private pilot license, and he's going to be in the back telling you all about the aviation side of things. And then one of the seniors can take you out and tour the airplane if you're interested in doing that.
Outstanding. Now, what was there a cost to participate?
Well, there's a minimal cost to sign up. I believe it's like $30. It's very minimal to sign up. Probably the most expensive cost is the uniforms. Mm-hmm. You don't have to go out and run and grab everything at one time. We actually try to get some of the Air Force bases on either side of us to try to donate uniforms so that people that can't afford them, we can provide uniforms for them. So uniforms are probably the most expensive thing.
The most expensive one I would say is blues.
Yes.
But when you make your courier first rank, you actually, Vanguard gives you a $100 voucher so you can purchase your blues and take, it wouldn't be so expensive because blues really is the most expensive uniform out of all of them.
So that's probably the most expensive cost is uniforms. And like I said, you don't have to run out and grab all of them at once. And it really depends on what you're going to be doing, which ones you really need. Cadets, though, they end up with all three of us. You know, PT uniform, their blue uniform. If they're going to participate in color guard or honor guard, they do have to have the service code. And then the ABUs. So.
Is this a shortcut to the Air Force Academy?
It's not a shortcut to the Air Force Academy. And if
Does it help?
Yes,
it absolutely does help, because if you get your spots award, which is the highest award that you can receive as a cadet, and you've crossed all your T's and you've dotted all of your I's pretty much that you're going to get into the Air Force. I can't guarantee it, but if you get that far in your cadet,
you got the doors open.
You've proven leadership skills that really do that for you.
Outstanding. Well, Captain Lohse and Master Sergeant Guerra, we appreciate you being here with us again. What's the website?
It's mobilealcap.org.
Wonderful. And the recruitment event is next Monday, 6:30.
Yes,
right.
Brooklyn Field.
Brooklyn Field. And so we appreciate everything that you do for us in the Civil Air Patrol. Thanks for joining us. Don't be a stranger. And let us know when you become the head of the Air Force.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
All right. Hey, on the other side of the break, Tom's tirade on Black Hawk down to Benghazi.